So I'm here with a bit of an apology to make. It says we in the prompter. I say I. Sean doesn't apologize. But I have been tough on Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman here on the bottom line, elsewhere on Fox News, Fox Business, whether it's been about his sometimes incoherent statements, about his questionable fashion choices on Capitol Hill.
Today, we're calling for justice for John because in recent weeks, he's made quite the about face. Here he is back in 2018.
I'm John Fetterman, and I'm a Democrat, and I'm a progressive.
But now the senator seems to have had a change of heart, telling the New York Times that he no longer relates to the progressive label, saying, quote, "It's just a place where I don't feel like I've left the label. It's more that it's just left me." I wonder if that has anything to do with comments like this.
And I believe that I'm on the right side of issues. I believe that's for pro-Israel on that as well, too.
If you look at the numbers, it's almost 270,000 encounters, and that's a lot. It's not xenophobic to have a conversation about border security.
It's absolutely outrageous that they have sold themselves to a foreign nation. Can't do that. Steel is always about security as well, too. And I am committed to doing anything I can do from using my platform or my position in order to block this.
And because of those views, the senator says he's not only a target for the right, but his own party's got knives out for him, too. Quote, "What I have found out over the last couple of years is that the right and now the left are hoping that I die. There are ones that are rooting for another blood clot."
We do not root for that at all, Senator. And here with the reaction, Boston Globe opinion editor Karine Hajjar. Karine, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Where did he come from, Senator Fetterman? He has been targeted by the far left for his stance, his very steadfast stance on Israel.
Yeah, and I think he's not the only one who once fashioned himself as a progressive who's feeling that way. I've interviewed a lot of college students, some on Harvard's campus, who say that they need to check their pro-Israel views at the door. They need to check different views at the door to associate with certain progressive causes that they used to be leaders in or activists in. So I think that Fetterman might also be figuring out that the progressive label right now on the national stage is more of a purity test than anything. And there's not really a coherent stance there.
You know, he talks about being a former progressive, but progressives were very liberal Democrats. But now it seems like that's transitioned into you have to be a communist in the Democrat Party. And I don't wish ill will, but I want to celebrate Fetterman in the sense that he is a Democrat. He's a left-leaning Democrat. A lot of issues I disagree with him on, but I applaud a guy who will stand up against his party and say, you know what, I do want to secure the border. I do think we should stand with Israel. And for that, good on John Fetterman.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's making some common sense critiques for members of his party. These are issues that are hurting them right now, especially the border. And when you get down to it, border policy right now is not very progressive. There are children dying at the border routinely. There are people being trafficked routinely. So that doesn't really sound very progressive to me.
And I love in this, not love in that way, but in the New York Times article, how this progressive agitator who used to work for Bernie Sanders directly goes after John Fetterman and said, "We helped you, and we should have known. We should have known you didn't have the bona fides," because he proclaimed that he wanted Pennsylvania to be the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. We should have known. And I'm like, he said that? Oh, really? He said that's. But again, he doesn't meet the purity test, and they're calling him
Right.
Genocide John.
Right. I mean, again, there are speech codes, conduct codes to be labeled a progressive right now on the national stage. And I think that this is really playing out on college campuses the most. So hopefully John Fetterman can be an example to some discouraged progressives on campus who might be thinking right now, well, do we have to hide our views on Israel? Do we have to say that everything at the border is okay? Maybe he can be an example to people to speak out when things just don't even make sense.
So Karine, I was a Republican congressman, and there was people who disagreed on all kinds of issues, and they That's one of the problems. They can't agree on anything. There are a bunch of cats going in different directions. But it seems like the Democrats are taking pages out of the Communist Chinese Party, where it's like, if you leave the party line, death to you, you're dead to us. Where the guy votes with the Democrat Party probably 85% of the time, but this 15%, they can't tolerate anyone who's not with them 100% of the time. It's kind of communist China-esque.
Well, there are certainly speech codes in place or something, conduct codes of some kind. It doesn't make any sense, and it's not popular with voters. People, want to see debate on the national stage. They want to see debate in the universities, and all of this robotic behavior just doesn't make sense to normal Americans.
Here's what he said. I do find it confusing where the very left progressives in America don't want to support really the only progressive nation in the region, referring to Israel. And he has this great sense of humor. He was trolling Bob Menendez with the George Santos little message. So,
Karine, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me on. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.